Hello, my awesome PMs. How you doing? Your buddy Phil here. I hope you're doing good. This is going to be a rather quick session. I just wanted to talk to you guys really quickly about how to go deep in the guide. So if you haven't taken a look at the videos I shared previously, you might want to do that. But I'm going to share with you my matrix for going deep into the guide. Those of you who've been tuned to the channel, you have probably seen my take on how to get deeper into the guide. So we're going to start off with that matrix, the matrix you know about. So let me pull up that matrix. Or how about we make a matrix? Maybe we're going to make one. Why don't we do that? Let's make a matrix so you guys can see how I do it from scratch. The making of the matrix. In the meantime, why don't you chat into me? Let me know how you're doing and what your study week has been like. All right, let's share the screen. Here is the screen. All right, so here's the screen. And, you know, I typically go one process group, not process, knowledge area versus another, but you could do process group against process group if you will. But really what I'm doing is knowledge area against knowledge area. So if you are on, do me a favor and chat into me. Which knowledge areas would you like to cover? None? Okay, everyone's kind of either still at work or half asleep. So I'm going to choose the knowledge areas to cover. And, you know, integration is always a favorite. So I'm going to take integration at the top. And let's do integration versus scope will be a nice one. So let's do develop project charter. For those of you who are new to the process, we type out the names of the processes. Let's make this fit. Let's make it 10 and wrap. Okay, so develop project charter, develop project management plan, direct and manage project work, monitor and control project work, I'm always jumping manage project knowledge. It's just a bad habit. Very sad. That's what the 5th edition has done to me. I skip it. I need to get used to that. Okay. Once control project work, perform integrated change, control, and close project or phase. There you go. All right. So something to that effect. So for those of you who are just joining, we're going deep into the guide. I'm going to plot scope on the left, and we're going to have integration at the top. So this is integration. It's a new concept that I've developed for going deep into the guide. It helps you do a deeper analysis and just read in blindly rather than looking for the connecting points. So we're going to be looking for the connecting points between these processes here. All right, and going down the left, we've got plan scope, management, collect requirements, define scope, create WBS, validate scope, control scope. All right, so I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know. Maybe I'll explain it further. But what we have on the left, this is going to be the origin of what we're going to be looking at. So they originate from here. Let's just insert a column so people who are just coming know what we're doing. So let us type in scope. Scope on that axis. Integration on that axis. So we're going to get outputs from these ones that I'm going to shade yellowish. And they're going into this that I'm going to shade kind of green. All right. Now, think about it. What exactly do you get from plan scope management? You get two plans, right? You get a scope management plan, you get a requirements management plan. Now, contrary to what is in the guide, I do not like to think about this in aggregate form. I like breaking it down into the tinier pieces. So from plan scope management, you get your scope management plan, you get your requirements management plan, right? Well, those go in here. So scope, I'll try and make them as small as possible. Scope management plan and requirements management plan. So they both go in here just to remind those who may be new to the process that we have something called outputs from other processes, if you remember that from chapter 4. So here's the deal. This is really what's happening. We are getting these from here, right? Think about that for a minute. Plan scope management gives you two processes. One is a scope, or two outputs, I beg your pardon. One is a scope management plan. Second is a requirements management plan. So they come out of here and they go in here. So this is a map from y-axis to the x-axis. Comes out of here, you get this, it goes in here. Comes out of here, you get this. So whatever I put in these boxes, we're really looking at them going vertically up there like that. Okay, so your scope management plan and your requirements management plan, these are known as outputs from other processes. That is the real official name for these. The PMI just bunched them up like outputs from other processes, but they're really minuscule little things like this that we should observe, okay? So we get those two things out of plan scope management. The question is, where else should we indicate that these go? Well, because it is a one-time thing happening here in develop project management plan, I am not inclined to show them here at all. You see, that's the name of the game. So where they come out from is here. Where they go into formally is develop project management plan, and then develop project management plan supplies these guys with the project management plan. So there's really no need for me to show you any of that stuff here. Does that make sense? Okay. And then nothing goes into develop project charter either. So that's quite simple as far as the relationship between scope and integration where this first process is concerned. Okay, let's go to the next one. Collect requirements. What do you get out of collect requirements? Your RTM, your RD. It's worth observing that these may appear in certain places. So what we're going to do is take a trip on down to your friendly neighborhood PMBOK guide. So if you want to follow along, do that. And you want to be looking at the 4s. That's what you want to be looking at. You could even look at 4.1. You won't find anything there though. But we're going to be taking them down one by one. So follow me along to page 75. Nothing from scope. Okay, let's go to the next page, 82. Nothing from scope pertaining to collect requirements, okay? This is how you do it. You got to do it in a painstaking fashion, all right? Follow me quick. 90, page 90. Do you find anything on page 90? Yes, we do. We find the RTM going into direct and manage project work. See? So let's put it in first. Let's do that. Okay, so we've got the requirements traceability matrix going in there. You ask yourself why? What's going on? Why is it there? So follow me to page 93. Page 93, it says the requirements traceability matrix links product requirements to the deliverables that satisfy them. It makes sense, doesn't it? Links product requirements to the deliverables that satisfy them and helps to focus on the final outcomes. So it makes sense that as you're creating the deliverable, you should have your requirements traceability matrix. See? It helps to focus on the final outcome. So that's on page 93. And that's why in this right here, I have RTM. See that? So it comes out of collect requirements, goes into direct and manage project work. You see, there is hardly any way that you can be this pinpoint precise without following my method for methodically combing through the guide. It's all right for those who want to read it like they're in a drive-through, drive-by. But if you really mean business, looking for the connecting points, do this for all of the processes. Map knowledge area to knowledge area. The permutations are endless. Map scope to integration, map scope to schedule, map scope to risk, map scope to procurements, map scope to stakeholder. Do that. If you're having trouble making the connecting points, do this, okay? All right, so that's collect requirements going into direct and manage project work. Now let's take a look at collect requirements going into manage project knowledge if it exists. So going into manage project knowledge, you don't really find anything on page 98. Follow me along to the next page, page 105. Page 105, we do not see any inputs from collect requirements directly into monitor and control project work. And let's move on to our next process, performing grade change control. Aha, we see RTM again going into performing a grade change control. Now, did I just skip manage project knowledge again? Let's see. Manage project knowledge. I apologize for forgetting about you. I actually didn't. I didn't. I'm paranoid. I think I'm forgetting manage project knowledge. All right, let's go to close project or phase, and this will be the final one for collect requirements. Close project or phase. We indeed have requirements documentation, no less than I expected. So requirements documentation, we see this going into close project or phase, but we will need to find out why. So rec doc. Let's take a look at two things. First of all, let's take a look at this. Why do we have RTM? For those of you coming newly into this program, we've got RTM coming from collect requirements, of course, and I'm showing you that it goes into performing a graded change control. So let's find out why that happens first, and then we'll go to close project or phase and take a look at the requirements doc. So performing a grade change control and page 116 says the RTM helps assess the impact of the change on the project scope. So what are they really saying? They're saying if you get a requirement or a request for change, you need to check the requirements in the RTM, and that enables you know the impact before deciding on whether to approve or reject it right there in performing the grade change control. That's what they're saying. See that? So let's take a look at the next one, close project or phase. It's a very painstaking process, but the rewards are very, very high. Big rewards. You know, you got to engage with this stuff. Otherwise, it just keeps going over your head. You know, you got to become a researcher of the guide. You got to do it. Page 124, it says, requirements documentation is used to demonstrate compliance with the project scope. Aha, I see. So we are in close project or phase. We want to check compliance with the project scope. Of course, you need to know the requirements that are deep in the requirements docs. And remember that not every project uses an RTM. Some projects use just requirements docs. So you got to remember that, okay? Remember, requirements docs are different from requirements traceability matrices. All right, so that's why we've got that. And let's go on to define scope. Define scope is another interesting one in that we get our project scope statement out of here. So I'm just going to type in scope statement. So here's a scope statement. Our scope statement, as I'm showing you, comes out of here, and it becomes an input. How does it become an input to develop project management plan? Through outputs. I could type this all day. Outputs from other processes, my friends. Outputs from other processes, that is what the PMI terms any of those things that go into the project management plan. You gotta remember that. Those outputs from other processes, they are very important. Okay, so now we're done with that. Remember our rule, we're not gonna keep mentioning. Scope statement is actually in the project management plan. We already know that. So we're not going to do that, but we're going to look for those unique places where it is specifically called out, you know, like when they list out project management plan and they tell you certain things are in it that are noteworthy. So we've got any component for direct and manage, any component, again, for manage project knowledge, any component for monitor and control project work. Now, when it comes to performing a grade change control, they make specific mention of the scope baseline. So what I'm going to do right now is go to create WBS. I'm going to try and get ahead of the game by putting in the scope baseline where it was specifically mentioned. And then we'll check that out when we go down to the lower levels of this table. So we've got the scope baseline, which comes out of create WBS going into performing the grade change control. See that? Scope baseline. So that is noteworthy. Okay, and let's see, what else? We go to close project or phase. All components are mentioned, so there's really nothing extraordinary there. Okay, well, that's interesting. So let's go back to where we were. There's really no other account of the scope statement. So I think we've cleaned up those two processes at once, define scope and create WBS. So that was good. Why don't we advance onward to validate scope? This is one of my favorites. majorly because this is where our deliverable gets checked. So let us see what will happen here in validate scope. Well, right off the bat, I can tell you that accepted deliverables is going to go in there. You guys probably remember that. So let's just put in accepted deliverables. And I do not believe there's anything absolutely noteworthy other than change requests, which go in here. So change requests come out of here, come out of here. That's change requests. They go into perform integrated change control. Accepted deliverables in the same token comes out of here, goes into close project or phase where you get that final product, service, or result transition. See. So that's how the game is played, my friends. Now, to round this up, let's take a look at the final one. It's control scope. Now, you already know what comes out of control scope. Same old, same old. Well, I hear someone saying, but PHILL, there's some interrelationship between validate scope you've not shown. You're correct, yes. Indeed, WPI comes out of validate scope. You see how you need to make these connection points? Validate scope gives you WPI, WPI goes here. And how did I remember that? Because I was thinking about controlling processes where we always get WPI as an output from those outside of integration. We always get change requests as an output. See that? Other than that, there really isn't anything else. And that's the matrix. Scope versus integration. It didn't take too long. It wasn't too bad. And that's why I highly recommend you guys to do this, okay? Do it. It's going to help you firm up your understanding. It's going to help you get good, just like you should. All right. Any questions or concerns about your PMP exam or your prep? Chat them in and you know I will be more than happy. I would be absolutely delighted to respond. Hey, Ed. How you doing, Ed? Ed says it has been decent, busy at work, but finding at least 1 hour study time a night. You know what you got to do, Ed? You just got to come out from wherever you feel comfortable, and I don't know. It could be a Starbucks. It could be just somewhere, a library. Like for me, my place was the Mesa Library in Arizona. That's where I did a lot of my grinding because I knew I couldn't get anything done at home. Sometimes you just got to step out and go to a place that you're not going to be that comfortable. I hold myself accountable by being in places where people are going to be giving me weird looks if I'm not enough. Like I would at home. At home, I could get away not enough, but not outside. Or just random surfing of the web. You're meant to be working and suddenly you get this social media pop-up, what's in the news, and yeah, so I take myself out of my comfort zone. I go to places where I'd feel uncomfortable if I was goofing off or just wandering off. Jennifer, how are you doing? Good to see you. And I'm glad that you're finding it useful. And, you know, this matrix is a really, really great way, great system. At least from my understanding, there's nothing like it in the training space for this exam. So I recommend to anyone, if you truly, truly mean business, if you truly want to get down to the granular levels, you really want to do good on the test, well, this is what you got to do. Open it up and just grind away at it. You know, like I've got my electronic version of the guide, and it's quick. You know, it's quick for you to go through many pages at once. But if you do the math, there are 10 knowledge areas. So if you're really going to do all the permutations, you would have 10 times 10. You would have 100 matrices. You see why this is so deep and it's so important that people who struggle do this? It is so important. So highly, highly recommend it. Highly. And I'll just keep churning them out bit by bit, one by one. Some of you would have already be certified by the time I'm done. If I do one a week, that's going to be a whole year. Some of you guys are already going to forget that you are even PGMPs or ACPs by the time I'm done. And that's the whole idea, you know, it's just to keep grinding it out and helping you guys so that you can do it on your own. All right. I hope that gave you some clarity on how to go about doing this. And just remember, you got any questions, send them, because whenever I get a moment, I'm going to be on here answering those questions for you. So I shall ask one more time. You're most welcome, Ed, most welcome. Before I hop off here, go into my happy place down the road. I'm not talking about happy hour. I'm not talking about downing anything incriminating. And this is 0 calories. So I'm not doing anything dodgy here. My happy place is a music store. Go into Guitar Center, go jam some chords. I'm actually in the middle of training right now, travel and training. But I am gonna go hop out, go to my happy place. You guys need to go to your happy place, wherever that is. You know, so the bargain I make with myself is I put in a bit of study time, I get to do what I wanna do. Put in a little bit of grind, I'm just gonna go to my happy place. Whatever that is, wherever that is, it could be a show, it could be a place down the road, could be hanging out with your buddies, but it's like a trade. Put in time to study, I get to do what I like. Put in time to study, I get to chill, you know. That's the way to keep balance. I put out a video a few days ago on balance. It's very important, especially before your exam, that you stay balanced. Don't overstudy. You know, like a student of mine out in Minnesota, overstudied, failed the exam badly on a Tuesday. I said, what happened? This wasn't what we planned. You're supposed to have brought me 5 ATs. You didn't even get one. So he ended up resting Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, went into the exam on Saturday, just barely 4 days after he failed. You know what happened? 5 ATs. It's the difference between success and failure, having balance, you know, knowing not to burn your brain. Don't burn your brain. You know, some people overdo it. If you're hitting it hard and you're not making progress and it's not sticking, it probably means that your brain is not functioning as it should at that particular time. And I would highly recommend you chill out, take a breather, go back to it. You know, if it's not going in, there's no point. You know, there's no point. Just doing the same thing ain't gonna stick. So that's my 2 cents to you, my friends. I appreciate you. And if you got any questions, subsequently, I will always get them answered for you. All right. Take care. It was nice speaking to you, and I'll see you again soon. Hey, if you haven't subscribed, do that. If you have not signed up for our learning management system, our LMS, do that. I do not want you to get down the bad alley. There's a bad alley out there, trust me, a big bad alley. And I'm not saying they're con men or con women, but they just don't do it like I do. They don't give you the attention I do. So I want you to go on down to Praizion.com, okay? Go on down to the website, hit that page, this is the course you want to sign up for. Don't sign up for any other PMP exam course but this. If you want to, that's fine, but don't say I didn't warn you. Sign up for this one. You'll be glad you did. This is the best litmus test for this exam. Trust me, it is the best litmus test, because if there was a better litmus test, I would have jumped on that ship. You know, for me, it's all about what works to get people certified, what works to expose people to the fact that they are ready or they are not ready. So if I had found any other solution half as good, I would have been telling you, but I ain't seen it. This curriculum has 3 very, very realistic mock exams. I mean, they're so realistic that when people take them, I know exactly where they are in the process. I had a student last week that aced the test, but before she aced the test, she took 3 of these mock exams. She passed all 3 of them. So at that point, I stopped worrying about her. I actually started congratulating her for passing the exam. After I saw her 3rd mock exam, I said, congrats, you're PMP. I'm sure she was wondering, for real? I said, yeah, you're PMP. Go enjoy your life. But she still kept on grinding and reading and studying hard all the way to the end. And at the end of the day, she sent me the email and said, Phil, I passed. And she was so excited. But I already knew she was a PMP based on her performance on the mock. So I'm telling you, sign up for this training, all right? Take the mock exams. If you don't pass the mock exams, do not take the real exam until you've closed your gap. Seriously, this is the litmus test that you want. The best litmus test. You know, there are many quizzes, many mock exams out there. Some of them are all right, but they ain't the best litmus test. This is the best litmus test. I'm gonna get off my soapbox before you turn off your computer. That raving lunatic again. All right, I'm done. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you guys again very soon. Bye for now.